On the evening of September 22nd, 2024, did you receive a call from your mother regarding Michele?
Yes.
Do you recall about what time you received this call?
It was around 10:30.
Okay. And what did your mother tell you during the call?
She just told me that Michele hasn't been home, and she tried calling her and she didn't answer. And she asked me if I could drive and see if she's on her way home or where she's at.
Did she tell you or state anything as to where Michele had been or was?
That she'd been at the park.
Okay. And hearing this information from your mom, did you find the fact that Michele hadn't returned unusual?
A little bit. She was usually home well before that time.
Okay. Having grown up with Michele and lived with Michele, can you describe her typical routine when she would go to the park?
Yeah, she would go to the park for like an hour at a time. I guess like
was it every day?
almost every day, if
Okay.
not more than once.
And did she always take her scooter to get to the park?
No, the scooter was fairly new. She would ride her bike, or my mom would drop her off and pick her up.
And when she'd go to the park, what did she like to do most?
Swing and listen to her music.
Was there anything distinctive about the swing set Michele used at that park?
Yes. It was the only swing on that swing set, and it had a squeak to it, and yeah, that's just the one she used always.
And that squeak that you described, was that something that could be heard audibly from around town?
Yes.
And were there ever any complaints made by people in the community about Michele's wear and tear on that part of the park?
Yeah, the underneath the swing where the sand is, she had a pretty big hole dug out there from swinging there so often. The town was going to have to fill that back in with sand.
Okay. When you received the call from your mother, where were you at?
I was at my house.
And was there anybody else living with you at the house at that time?
Jordan.
And Jordan's full name?
Jordan Trudeau Adams.
And his relationship to you?
My boyfriend.
Okay. Shawna, what did you do after you received this call from your mother?
I told Jordan about the phone call, and I told him I was going to go drive and look for her. So I basically just threw some shoes on and went out to my car.
And anything remarkable happened when you went out to the car?
Yeah, my car battery was dead.
Okay. And so did you eventually get your car started?
Yes.
Okay. And who helped you do that?
Jordan did.
Okay. So after you were able to get your car started, what did you do next?
I drove by the park on the closest side to my house. I think it's Oak or...
Well, if I brought up a map, would that help you?
Yes.
Okay. It's going to be 5. I'm showing you what's been admitted as State's Exhibit 5. You've already previously identified point 17 as your home, correct?
Yes.
So when you finally got your car started and you left, and again, what was the intent of you leaving?
I initially thought I was just going to pick Michele up on her way home. I thought she was just, either the scooter died and she was just taking longer to get home. I just thought I was going to go pick her up from wherever she was.
Okay, starting from point 17 to exit, you would have had to have taken Beach Street,
Yep.
heading east. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and then from there, did you head north,
South.
south? Okay, until you hit,
Oak Street.
okay,
And went east.
and then went
Past the park.
past the park. And so while we're here on Oak Street, no, that's fine. Can you identify? There's 2 points of identification on this map. I want you to answer if you can. Point 1, what would that be approximately?
That would be like the shelter house at the park.
And that's at Farnhamville Park.
Yes.
Okay, and then point 2 would be.
That would be like the area of her swings, I believe. The
Okay.
swing sets and
Sure. Okay, so you're at the intersection of Farnham Avenue and Oak Street. You head east then, so you take a left,
yes.
and then where do you go?
I go all the way to the main road, which is Garfield. And I head south down to Commercial Street, which is my mom's street that she lives on.
Can you get Exhibit 8? Shawna, I have on the display here what's been entered into evidence as State's Exhibit 8. And I want to continue and pick up from where you left off from the previous map.
Yes. So from Oak Street, I turned on to Garfield, which is that main road there.
Okay? And so it's the first,
It's that one. Yeah.
that one. And by that one, you're referring to the first intersection to the east of the intersection of Moulton Avenue and Oak Street.
Yes.
Okay? And so you take a right and you head south.
Yes.
And before we go any further, can you identify what point 16 is on this map?
That would be my mom's house.
Okay, and that was your destination, correct?
Yes.
And so at this time, as you've made your way down Garfield, at some point in time, you just stop looking for Michele and just go to your mom's?
Yes. As I drove down Garfield, I drove slowly, just looking down each road to see if I could see her on her way.
Did you see anything or anybody in the streets?
No, not at
Okay.
that time.
So you make your way down from Garfield all the way south till you hit the intersection of Commercial and Garfield, correct?
Yes, it's one street down from that one.
Okay, and then you take a right?
Yes.
Actually, it's, that might be the railroad tracks that
Yeah,
he's on right now.
it's the-
Okay, so if you go back to, yep.
Yep.
So right now, the pointer is identifying on Exhibit 8, the intersection of Commercial and Garfield, correct?
Yes.
And from there, you take a right, and you head all the way west to point 16, which is your mom's house,
Yes.
okay? Now I want to back up just a little bit. The route that you took, when you left your home and you got to Beach Street, you left on Beach Street, you got to Farnhamville, you took a right, and at the intersection of Farnhamville and Oak Street would be the northern west corner of the Farnhamville Park.
Yes.
When you were making your way past that area, was there anything that caught your attention at that time?
Yes.
And what was that?
There was a man walking fairly fast towards the park, carrying a bottle.
And when you first observed him, was he at the top, will be the top northerly west corner of the park?
Yes. When I saw him, he was just coming off the road into the grass.
No, yeah, sure. So this is this exhibit. So on there you have Beach Street and Oak Street intersection, correct? You see that?
Yes, the Farnham and
Or
Oak Street?
Farnham, sorry.
Yes.
Okay. And at what point in time did you see this individual you just described?
A little bit between coming out of that Beach Street Drive and between the corner there is when I first saw him. It's
Coming out of
the one to the left of that. The Beach Street.
the Beach Street Drive that exits off the Farnham.
Yeah, that one.
Okay. And so, again, you headed south, you hit the intersection of Oak Street and
Yes.
Farnham, right?
Yes.
And then you took a left and you headed east. At what point in time in that short drive did you observe this individual?
It was between the corner of the park and the drive to my house. So as I was coming around to go onto Oak Street is
So-
where I saw him.
So where the identification number 1 on there, was it just above that or just above the intersection right before Oak and Farnham?
Just above the intersection.
Okay. And if you move your cursor to the top. And where that hand is showing on State's Exhibit 8, is that approximately where you saw that individual?
Yes. He
And
was,
that, again, for the record, would be the top left corner of Farnhamville Park.
yes.
And you said you saw this individual with a bottle.
Yes.
Did you notice anything about the way he was carrying himself or walking?
He was just walking very fast.
But at that time, did you take special note of that?
I thought it was a little bit weird, but I didn't give it much thought at that time.
So, you zoom out. So, I'm going to take you back to where you picked your mother up at point 16.
Yes.
Where then did the two of you picked her up in your car and you drove in your car and the purpose was to find Michele?
Yes.
Okay, so take me through your route from 16.
So we went east back up to Garfield on Commercial Street.
So the same way that you came there.
Yes.
Okay. So at Garfield then you take a left and you head north.
Yes.
Okay. And how far do you go north?
I go all the way back up to Oak Street
Okay.
and drive past the park on that side again,
Okay.
just to Farnham Avenue, and then I went south to I think it's Nebel Street. Or no, wait,
Nibel's the first one.
Main Street.
Okay. Now, while you're making this loop, are you looking down the streets for Michele?
Yes.
And have you seen any activity anywhere in the streets up to this point?
No.
Okay. So, starting then at the intersection of Farnham and Main,
Yeah, I went east on that road.
and it's still you and your mom in the car, correct?
Yes.
Okay, now at some point in time after you took this left and heading down Main, I'm going to point you to a different map, okay?
Okay.
I now have up on the display States Exhibit 6. The bottom left-hand corner of that image would be the intersection of Farnham and Main, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so you take a left and you're driving, and at any point in time, did you observe something of note?
Yes, as we were driving down Main, we saw someone walking with the green scooter.
Okay, and you say walking with the green scooter, approximately between 12 and 11, points 12 and 11 on there. Where were you at when you first saw?
I believe it would be probably close to this drive right before the house that's on the corner by 11.
So
In that area.
So that first driveway, that would be to the, as we're looking at the map, would be to the west of the intersection of Main and Moulton.
Yes.
Okay. So at that point in time, you observe what you believe to be what?
I thought that it was Michele with her scooter because my headlights shined and I just seen the green scooter and assumed it was her.
And tell me a little bit about that scooter. Was it, I mean,
It's bright green.
was it very distinctive?
Yes.
Okay. And to your knowledge, did anybody else in town have a scooter like that?
No.
Okay. At what point in time did you realize that the individual pushing the scooter was not Michele?
Just right after that, after I took my notice of the scooter and looked at the person, and I could tell that it was not her. It was just some guy.
And was the guy riding the scooter or pushing it?
He was pushing it.
Okay. And so as you got closer to the intersection of of Main and Moulton, did you see the individual with the scooter do something then at that point?
He turned off onto Moulton Avenue on the
Okay.
sidewalk.
On the sidewalk?
Yes.
Okay. And after he did that, still pushing the scooter,
Yes.
what did you do then?
I pulled up next to him on the road on Moulton.
So your car's heading or facing north,
Yes.
okay? And when you say pulled up next to him, are you parallel eye level with him?
Yeah, about.
Okay. And did you roll your window down?
Yes.
Okay. What happened next?
Me and my mom was in the passenger seat, so we just asked like, hey, where did you get that scooter?
And do you remember his response?
I believe first he said it was his scooter.
Okay. And did he say anything else later that contradicted that?
Yes, after we said, no, that's my sister's scooter, my daughter's scooter, he said that he found it.
And at some point in time at that, I'll refer to it as a confrontation at the intersection where your car's facing north on Moulton at the intersection of Main and Moulton, did your mom dial 911?
Yes, so my mom actually got out of the car and went up to him to look at the scooter.
Okay.
And when she confirmed it was our scooter, my mom's scooter, Michele's scooter, she told him that she was going to call 911.
And at the time that she told him, this individual, that she was going to call 911, what did this individual do?
He let go of the scooter and started walking south back on Moulton Avenue on the sidewalk.
And after he got to that intersection of Moulton and Main on the sidewalk, where did he turn?
He turned west on Main Street.
Okay, and so what did you and your mom do?
So my mom had hold of the scooter and I was in my car still, so I started backing up, and I backed up east onto Main Street and then headed west to follow him, next to him on Main Street.
Okay, and when you say follow him, where is he at? Not looking at the map, but just
On the sidewalk?
on the sidewalk, and obviously you're driving on the street.
Yes.
Okay. And when you say following him, again, were you behind him, ahead of him, parallel with him?
I was keeping directly beside him.
And did you have your passenger window down?
Yes.
Okay. At some point in time, after the initial confrontation, up until that point that you just mentioned, where you're keeping up with him, did you call anybody?
Yes. I actually called Jordan back when we were by him in the scooter.
When you were behind him in the scooter?
Yeah, like when he was still holding on to the scooter,
Okay.
I called Jordan and told him that we didn't find Michele, but there's a guy with her scooter.
And again, Jordan is Jordan.
Trudeau Adams, yeah. And he's my boyfriend.
And at that time that you called him, do you know where he was?
He was at home.
And, okay. And so, when you are driving from point 11, and would you agree with me that point 11 is about the general area of where that confrontation occurred?
It's a little bit up on Moulton a little more.
Okay,
but
so a little bit north of that?
yeah.
Okay. So as you're driving west on Main, keeping parallel with this individual, were you still on the phone with Jordan?
Yes.
Okay.
I believe that he headed out to come find me, but I hadn't hung up the phone. He left his phone and it was just still running on the call.
Okay, so did he leave his phone at the house?
Yes.
But he forgot to shut it off?
Yes.
Okay. So when you're parallel with this individual, did you have words or exchange words with him?
I was just keeping an eye on him, and then at one point he stopped and turned to me and said, "Excuse me."
And when he said, "Excuse me," how did you take that?
His tone to me implied, like, wondering why I was following him.
Okay. And when he said this, and when you had this exchange, approximately where were you between 11 and 12?
I don't know for sure, but it was after this drive of the house that's on the corner, to the left of that, yeah.
So that drive right there?
In that area, I believe.
So right where the words Main Street appear?
Yes.
Okay. And after he said, "Excuse me," did you say anything to him?
Yes, I told him that my sister's missing and you had her scooter, like, I can't let you just leave.
And what was his response?
He said, "I understand."
And from there, did this individual continue further? We ended up at where the 12 is marked, Okay.
and that's where he just stopped completely.
So up until the point in time when you first observed this individual with the scooter, then had a confrontation with the individual, then followed the individual back down Main Street, up until the time this individual stopped at 12, did you ever lose sight of this person?
No.
Okay. And at some point in time, did your boyfriend Jordan arrive?
Yes, he arrived after he was stopped at 12 at the location there.
And what did Jordan do when he arrived?
He just walked up and I think he started asking questions, trying to figure out what was going on.
Okay. And did Jordan have a firearm with him?
Yes.
And at this point, had he pointed it at this individual?
No, he had it pointed at the ground.
Now, while you're traveling down Main Street between points 11 and 12, heading west, where was your mother at?
She was a little ways behind me on the sidewalk. She was on the scooter, but just kind of scooting with it because I don't know if the key was in it. And she was trying to call 911.
So after this individual stopped at 12, did you stop with this individual?
Yes.
Okay, and then did your mom eventually catch up with you?
Yes.
Okay. And she still had the scooter?
Yes.
Okay. At some point in time, did your mom take that scooter and place it someplace?
Yes, she put it in Jordan's mom's yard, which is right in that area of 12.
I'm showing you what's been admitted into evidence, the state's Exhibit 3. Can you tell me what that is?
That is the scooter.
The same green scooter that you described earlier?
Yes.
And is that the location that your mom had put it at?
Yes.
Okay, so if you can go back to the previous map. Yeah, not 8, sorry. It would be 6. So in relation to the point on the map where it says 12, where was that fire pit?
It's on the south side of the road there.
Okay, so it'd be on the south side of Main Street,
Yes.
right, I suppose, as we're looking at this map, to the left of that the area it looks like to be a residence?
Yes.
Okay. Now, at some point in time, strike that. While Jordan is there, while you are there, your mom are there, are you waiting for law enforcement to arrive?
Yes.
Okay. At some point in time when the three of you are there waiting, did you have an opportunity to observe closely that scooter as it sat on, as it appeared on Exhibit 3?
Yes.
Okay. And what prompted that?
Jordan told me to look at the scooter to see if it had any damage or like anything on the scooter.
Okay. And so, did you inspect the scooter?
I looked at the scooter, and then I noticed things in the basket that I didn't know what they were, so I went to the basket to look.
Say that one more time. Sorry.
To the basket to look.
So you went to the basket on the back of the scooter to look.
Yes.
And we've just zoomed in on that exhibit, that same exhibit with the scooter shown. Is that the basket that you're referring to?
Yes.
Okay, did you make any closer inspection of the items in the basket?
Yes.
So at this time, obviously, there's a flash that's taking this picture, correct?
Yes.
So when you're making this observation, it's dark.
Yes.
Okay. And upon making this closer inspection of the basket, did you ever pick anything up?
Yes, I picked up her shoe, the shoe in the basket.
And I'm showing you, Shawna, what's been admitted as State's Exhibit 16. Can you identify what that is?
It's Michelle's shoe.
Okay, and is that the same shoe that you pulled out of the basket of the green scooter?
Yes.
So after you pull it out of the green basket, what observations, if any, did you make?
First I picked it up and I said, oh, it's Michelle's shoe. And then I turned it around and I could see all the blood on it on the other side.
Okay, and did that cause you to be more concerned at that point?
Yes.
Okay. And did you relay the fact that there was blood on the shoe to your mother and Jordan?
Yes.
After you relayed that information to your mother and Jordan, what did Jordan do?
He told the guy to get on the ground, and he pulled up his gun to.
And this is the same guy?
Same guy.
Okay. And after he told the guy to get on the ground, did this individual comply?
Yes.
Okay. And at this point in time, after the individual's on the ground, you're still waiting for law enforcement to arrive?
Yes.
Okay. Shawna, before we came in here today, I had you review what was marked as a video on this flash drive at State's Exhibit 9. Do you recall doing that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Can
you tell me what State's Exhibit 9 shows?
It's a video that I took of Jordan having his gun on the guy just for protection.
Did Jordan ask you to take that video just so, he could show that he was acting appropriately?
Yes.
Okay. And the video that State's Exhibit 9, is that a fair and accurate reproduction of the video that you took with your phone at this time?
Yes.
Your Honor, the state would ask permission to publish State's Exhibit 9.
You may.
I can't really see him.
Just put it in his direction as long as you're facing him.
Oh my God.
Shawna, I paused State's Exhibit 9. Now, right now, the person on the street holding the pistol, who is that?
That's Jordan.
Okay, and then the car with the lights shining, whose car is that?
That's my car.
Okay, so between Jordan and the car, off a little bit in the distance, so it'd be heading north in the grassy area, is that where this individual is lying down?
Yes.
Okay.
Mom, can you get Dad over here right now? Jordan's got a guy down at gunpoint.
What?
Jordan has a guy down at gunpoint. Michelle's missing. They found a shoe in her scooter. He was walking around with it and it's got blood on it.
I'm right at Mom's house right now.
All right, I'll tell him.
All right.
Mom, don't go over there.
Yeah. Please stay on that side of the vehicle.
I will.
Don't make me get her out.
It's not time, but it's.
What if she's hurt somewhere? I need to.
Yeah, she's
I understand
somewhere.
that. I understand that, guys. That's why we just have to do stuff as quick as possible, but as long as possible.
Dad's on his way.
One fucking night.
What do you mean?
Just one fucking normal night.
Thank God the kids aren't with you.
Yeah, sorry.
Judge Johnson, would you mind turning the volume up on that a little bit? I'm having difficulty hearing. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, we were just waiting. Okay. Where's the shoe and stuff?
Don't touch it.
I already touched
I
it.
know, but don't touch it. Leave it alone now. Leave everything alone.
I just
Leave
wanted
it
to.
as it is. Don't touch the scooter. Don't touch nothing else.
Is it still in the scooter? Yeah. Oh my god.
So you got one. They have one 2 miles away.
Okay.
Hello?
What causes that much blood? Oh,
Maybe. Don't talk right now. Just don't speculate.
Jordan's got the guy laid down on the ground.
Farnham and Maine.
Michelle missing tonight with his scooter.
Get down there and see
Some
what
guy
you're
was
looking for.
walking around with
Yeah,
it,
there.
claiming it was his. Right there. Found the bloody scooter back of it.
He's coming. We got him.
Right now they got a scooter up here.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Stay back. Everybody stay back. Let him approach.
Okay.
Put that away. Yes, sir. Is this his vehicle?
That's my vehicle, because I was following him.
Dude, that's fucking blood. That's fucking blood, dude. What the fuck?
Don't do it, Jordan.
Don't worry.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh
Hey, I need to get inside the vehicle.
my god. Okay.
I need to go look for her. Oh, I know she's fucking dead somewhere, dude. I need to go look for her.
Oh my god.
You guys gotta get with it.
Oh my god. You shouldn't be driving either.
I can't.
Shawna, towards the end of that video, the direction of the camera panned down to the road. You recall seeing that?
Yes. Yes.
And then shortly after that, although you were fairly emotional throughout, you exclaimed loudly, "Oh my God, oh my God." What caused you to say that?
When he stood up, we could see the blood all on his clothes.
And before that, you hadn't been able to see that.
No.
Not when you were down at the corner where the confrontation occurred.
No.
Okay. Only after the deputy's light was directed on him.
Yes.
Okay. Your boyfriend Jordan made mention, we're at mom's house. What did he mean by that?
Oh, because his mom was on the phone with his grandparents, I believe, and he was just saying that he was in front of his mom's house.
So just coincidentally, and it's a small town, the fire pit actually belonged to Jordan's mother.
Yes.
Okay, so this all transpired, when I say all, what happened at point 12, what you watched on the video happened right in front of Jordan's mother's home.
Yes.
And she's on the south side of Maine.
Yes.
Okay. After the deputy took this individual into custody, what did you do then?
They told us to stay put in that area. Jordan didn't. Jordan took my car to go look for her if she was somewhere.
Okay. And was there at some point in the evening, that evening, September 22nd, 2024, into the early morning of September 23, 2024, did you go back to your mother's house?
Yes.
Okay. And was at some point when you were back at your mother's house, did you have an important revelation about something that you had seen earlier and were just now connecting the dots?
Yes.
And what was that?
I connected the bottle in the scooter to the man that I had seen walking with the bottle when I first left.
When you first left your house to go look for Michele,
Yes.
and when you observed that man, did you get a look at his face at all?
When I first seen him?
Yeah.
No.
And you described a bottle, though. When you walked over to the scooter to inspect it, you also saw a bottle, correct?
Yes.
And I'm showing you I'm showing you State's Exhibit 3, zoomed in on the basket on the back of the scooter. And is that the bottle that you were referring to?
Yes.
And your testimony is that the individual you saw fast walking towards the park was carrying a bottle similar to that one?
Yes.
And did the person that you saw carrying that bottle towards the park earlier, and then the person that you saw covered in what you believe to be blood there at the end of the video, did they share the same general description in terms of height
Yes.
and build?
Yes.
And was there anything about what both were wearing that were similar?
The only thing I noticed was that he was wearing a hat when I first saw him, and this covered in blood, he had a hat as well, so.
But prior, when you first saw this individual walking, you never saw his face.
No.
You couldn't possibly identify him as the person that eventually was arrested.
No.
Okay. Shawna, for the record, is the individual you found walking with your sister's scooter, who you and your mom confronted, who you followed back down Main Street, who was ordered to the ground and eventually arrested, is that person here in the courtroom today?
Yes.
Please identify that individual for the record by pointing him out and describing what he's wearing.
He's in the orange.
Your Honor, may the record reflect that the witness has identified the defendant?
It will.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Cross-examination.
Your Honor. Shawna, as we've heard, Farnhamville is a small town, correct?
Yes.
And the park where this happened, that's centrally located within the town.
Yes.
The swings that Michele would swing on are near the road.
Yes.
When you were talking about seeing this individual that you couldn't positively identify, but who had this bottle, that was near the park, correct?
Yes. It was just crossing into the park.
And it looked like that's where the person was going to.
Yes.
You were in your vehicle when you saw that,
Yes.
and so you were, the individual didn't appear to be hiding or anything like that, correct?
No.
Later on, when you, I guess let me back up. Before that night, you had never heard your sister discuss anybody causing her problems at the park, stalking her, anything like that, correct?
No.
So that night, when you do eventually come into contact with Mr. McGivney, you didn't know who he was, correct?
No.
Didn't know his name,
No.
hadn't seen him before.
No.
When you were referring to him, you're talking with Mr. Smith, he was just some guy, correct?
Yes.
When Mr. Smith was talking to you about the maps of the locations, one of the things he pointed out to you in order to reference your home was Mr. McGivney's aunt's house. I think it was labeled aunt's house. Do you recover that, or do you recall that?
Yes.
And so, had you ever met his aunt before?
No.
Never seen Mr. McGivney at his aunt's house before?
No. Yes.
And when you saw Mr. McGivney with the scooter, he was pushing it, right?
Yes.
So the key was not being used to operate the scooter. He was not riding the scooter.
No.
And in fact, when your mom got on the scooter, she had to sort of duck walk it back to you, correct?
Yes.
Because there was no key.
Yes.
When you observed the shoe that was in the scooter, it was obviously covered in blood on one side, correct?
Yes.
And it was just sitting in the open basket.
Yes. Yes.
I don't have any other questions.
Any redirect?
One second. No further questions, Your Honor.
All right, you may step down.